And my philosophy is simple. If Napoli can be known for pizzas, Bordeaux can be known for wine, why can't the Wimmera be known for pulses? Hence we have our town logo, Rapanyup, a town with pulse.
Hey everyone, it is Dani Valent here for an episode of Dirty Linen, and I can honestly say I've never started an episode under quite these circumstances. I'm in Rapanyup in the Wimmera in northwestern Victoria. I'm looking over at some beautifully painted grain silos, and I can hear to my right the grain being processed. I'm here with Jenny Moore from Wimmera Grain Company. Welcome to the podcast, Jenny.
Thanks, Dani. Thanks for making the trip to Rapanyup. So let me walk you through what happens here. So we're a paddock to plate business, and obviously it's a little bit quiet now because we're not in harvest, but when we're in harvest you'll see trucks packed up here back to back and down the street. They'll come in over the weighbridge and then they'll drop their goods in here. We're going to walk over to the grain cleaning silo. Do you know much about cleaning pulses, Dani?
Well, I would say it's not my specialty or my field of expertise, but I'm ready to have that changed right now by you.
Well, look, I'm certainly not the expert, but I'll try and fill you in.
Go for it.
So obviously what happens in the paddock, we harvest the pulses in the paddock. A certain amount of seeds and stones and twigs are removed at paddock level through the header process, but that's actually not good enough necessarily for export or for domestic consumption. Often you can still get stones and you can still get twigs in the product. So this machinery here is about removing those sticks and twigs and bringing it up to export standards.
So we're walking into a big shed, and I'm seeing a machine that's got like a conveyor belt. I'm seeing big tanks with pipes coming out the bottom, a machine that seems to be shaking quite vigorously, whatever is inside it, and then I am assuming it pops down into that hopper below.
Look, it does. The process actually starts up the top, whereby you can put different grades of mesh, because when we, for example, clean a chickpea, we size it into 6 mil, 7 mil, 8 mil and 9 mil. And each of those sizes have a different value in the market as well. So effectively, it'll go through the larger machinery up the top, and then it'll be shaken out here. And this is what they call a gravity-graded table.
So I can actually see chickpeas coming out here, Jenny.
Yes, this is where the chickpeas would come across, but I'm not quite sure if you're running chickpeas. It might actually be red lentils, I'd say.
Red lentils. How exciting. I love red lentils. So oh my goodness, look at all of them. This is so cool. Wow.
We think so, but again, it's interesting, most people who eat red lentils actually eat red lentil splits. So in the Wimmera, there are other businesses that actually will take these whole lentils, they'll dehull them, and then they'll split them. And they're the ones that most consumers buy in the shops.
Okay, because I can see they've got a brown skin, but then some of them are red. So they're the ones that are being hulled as they go through this process?
No, we don't dehull them here. These ones have actually been split as part of the harvest. And so what this machinery is doing, it's removing them and keeping the higher grade lentils.
So what's going to happen to the split ones?
That will go off and be sold as animal feed.
Oh, really? I would eat them.
And look, over the years we have tinkered with it, and there are businesses that are now doing that as a byproduct. But again, it goes back to the fact that we're really lucky in Australia. We have some of the highest food standards in the world. And so rather than risk people getting potentially a cross-contamination of gluten in them or stones, and yes, milling companies can mill that all up, but we don't want that in our food. So that's why it's siphoned off to a different area.
I love watching this. This is like, I don't know, it's sort of, there's a flow to it. It feels like, yeah, there's so much ingenuity in the way that this machine is separating out the lentils into what it wants to go here and what it wants to go there. I absolutely love it. How cool.
And look, I think it's just really a prime example of the innovation and how far the agricultural industry has gone. to have the technology to be able to separate it. And there's even another piece of machinery around here called a Sortex sorter, and that is, and I don't think it's in operation at the moment, but that can even blow out just individual seeds. So when it comes to removing the gluten or the cereals from the actual harvest, these little pockets, or this machinery called a Sortex sorter, actually blows out using air pockets the seed that doesn't match that particular batch of product. So it's done through photography as well.
Yeah, right, that's amazing. So we've got a few little husks on us, which seems only right. We're really close to what's happening here. So would a lot of this food that's grown in the Wimmera be exported?
Yes, most of it is. Yeah, and look, it's really quite interesting because the consumption of pulses in Australia over the last 10 years has actually declined slightly. But the exports, I think, has gone up something like 148% or something like that over the last 10 years.
Yeah, right.
Again, I've got to check exactly where that source came from, but it certainly has.
That's where it's
massive.
It's amazing.
And so this is what you've got. This is here is what would be the animal feed. So this is your seconds, and you can actually see the dirt and the stones and the poor quality in some of the stuff which is not fit for human consumption.
Yeah, right. So we're looking at some big tubs, and you can see the stones and some of the grass matter in there. Is that because the pulses are grown quite close to the ground? So as they're harvested, it's tricky not to scoop up a bit of ground as you go?
That can vary on the season. So when we've had a tough season like last year where there wasn't a lot of rain, yes, our plants are much closer to the ground, and so the header has to go lower to pick them up. Or in a good year, obviously, it's quite higher and you can then take it off. And yes, you will get a higher clean. There are years whereby the trucks will come in here and we don't need to run it through the cleaner, because when we test it as it comes in, it already meets export standards to be able to put it straight in a box.
That's so interesting.
And look, when it's busy here, I think the record is 45 containers in a day, and there was literally trucks coming in, bringing in the new produce, and then containers going out.
So what kinds of pulses might come through this facility?
Mostly it is faba beans and red lentils. And chickpeas have in the past, but unfortunately there's not as many people growing chickpeas here around Rupp as what there used to be. But yeah, there's still some farmers that do, and obviously they've been growing it for decades, so the knowledge of how to grow it's exceptionally good.
It's interesting, I've often read in recipes when they use lentils or chickpeas, they say, check them over carefully for stones. But I feel like that's a bit of an old school instruction when you've got a facility like this that's dealing with it all.
Look, Dani, they can still sneak through. And again, when it comes to, like, chickpeas and lentils are a naturally gluten-free product, and if you are celiac and you are wanting to manage what you do, the safest thing is to do a visual inspection in case that odd piece of barley or that odd bit of wheat gets through, and also the potential for dust is to obviously wash it before you actually cook with it. We certainly don't want anybody being sick on our watch, but we're only human as well, and so we walk a fine line, and this is kind of really a bit of a hybrid between agriculture and then the whole expectation of our very high food standards in Australia.
Amazing. Australia, like you said, Jenny, Australia exports so many of these products. Would you love to see them eaten and enjoyed more here in Australia?
Absolutely, Dani. It fascinates me why people don't eat more pulses, because, they're low fat, they're high protein, they've got both soluble and insoluble fibres in them. They've got an array of minerals and vitamins in them. So, they're just so good for you. Where would you like me to start?
Well, I feel like you can throw a handful into a stew or a soup. That's a pretty good place to start. I think sometimes people get overwhelmed with the idea of building a whole meal or a dish around a pulse, but there is so many ways to use them in dishes you're probably making anyway.
Oh, look, totally. And look, it's been actually quite a battle for us in actually, even with our own people here, to actually eat chickpeas and lentils. In fact, I do remember when I first started in this added value space over 10 years ago now, some of the guys saying here, we were having barbecue for the for a number of growers, and we were going to have hamburgers and sausages and steaks. And I said, what about some lentil burgers? You know, promote your own produce. And they went, lentil burgers? No, we don't eat that stuff.
Classic.
So yes, to actually get people to cook with it and to know how to cook with it, it's been a long journey, and it is. It's a slow growth, but it's just such a terrific product and good for you. You know, and then you look at all the people in the third world countries and really how it's a staple for them, and it really makes a difference for those people that can't afford to actually have meat or don't have the luxury of having meat, you know, at their back door.
Yeah, well, I've recently been in India, and just the creativity of how just one pulse might be used, 20 different ways that a chickpea is used, from the whole pulse to the flour, and then that again is used in so many different ways. The same with lentils. There's just a real valuing of the benefits of those products.
I couldn't agree more. So let me take you inside and I'll show you what we've been tinkering with.
Ooh, I'm excited. Let's do it. So, Jenny, you've taken me into a room where there's a really beautiful display of all kinds of lentils and flour made from pulses. It looks like there might be some snacks I can try. Tell us what we're looking at.
Okay, Dani. So welcome to our paddock to plate range. So what we've done is, linking back into what you were saying earlier, we've taken the humble chickpea, and I'm not sure if you've ever seen a chickpea in the paddock, but this is what it looks like. And if you wanted to grab one of the pods and open it, you'll see a chickpea inside.
All right, so I'm looking at some spindly sticks with a number of pods running along their length. The pods are about the size of an almond, let's say, and then I'm going to crack one open. It's quite firm and dry, and then inside there is a little dried chickpea. How wonderful.
So if you look at that dried chickpea, Dani, and then you look at the dried chickpea packaging, so whether you see it in Melbourne in maybe part of the Ward Mackenzie range, or you might see it in other independent stores, it's exactly the same.
Yeah.
Unprocessed, completely clean, completely natural.
Love it.
And to your point, there's so much you can do with this humble little chickpea. So if we want to talk chickpeas for a minute, I'll walk you through the complete chickpea added value space. So here in Rapania, probably Claire and I as well, we have been tinkering with space for a long time. So we've taken the humble chickpea, we've milled it into a flour, we have, together with Claire, turned it into a brownie. We've also work with our manufacturers. So most of my business is actually supplying into Melbourne-based manufacturers, and then I buy a little bit back to promote Wimmera Mallee food. And my philosophy is simple. If Napoli can be known for pizzas, Bordeaux can be known for wine, why can't the Wimmera be known for pulses? Hence we have our town logo, Rapania, a town with pulse.
So good.
So moving on from the chickpea straws, our latest creation has been roasted chickpea and roasted faba bean travel and picnic snacks. Fits in the console of a car, flip the lid off, you've got your picnic, whether you're camping, whether you're at the beach, whether you're at Moonlight Cinemas in town, it's portable. And of course chickpeas, whether they're in some of our sweet tooth range, or whether they're a savoury product, they'll fill you up, and the idea is for them to be portable and again a healthier snack option when you are on the go, and they actually do fill you up. I'd recommend these for hangovers.
You're recommending the pulse raisers, roasted faba beans, sour cream and chives for hangover. Well, I feel like that could also be good with a few beers.
Absolutely. And look, many a time people have been also having them with their nightly drinks as well. But this particular packaging, we call this like the purse pack.
Yeah.
Or the backpack size, because you can pop it in your backpack, pop it in your purse. It's really easy and portable. And of course it's resealable as well.
Yeah, I'm so on board for this. I'm going to try a pulse raiser roasted chickpea with coconut and raspberry. It's just got a little bit of a gloss to it. It feels firm and very crunchy. Oh, here comes the raspberry.
The kick of the raspberry.
That is a really tasty little number. And can I try one of the faba beans with maple and sweet chilli?
you'll find that there's nothing like that on the market because you get a real chili kick and then a sweet kick all in one hit.
That is delicious.
Thank you.
Excellent snack. I would definitely have some of those in the car and maybe on the porch with a gin and tonic or something. I reckon it could go down pretty well.
Oh, look, we did that. We went to Stanley in Tasmania at Christmas time, and we were lucky enough to have this lovely little old cottage overlooking the water. And my husband and I were actually eating these snacks as we were looking out on the water and wandering down to the penguins. It's just great.
Yeah, so wonderful. So there's more on the table.
Yes, so you've got chocolate coated snacks, but if we jump back a bit and then start talking about added value. We've then done a similar thing. We've got a range of pulse-based soups and pulse-based meals. And the idea of this product, and they're premixed, and the idea of this product is to repurpose your ageing vegetables with one of our pulse-based premixes that then will make a really nutritious meal and also in a hopefully a cost-effective manner. We all know people are really struggling. And obviously one of the easiest ways to save money is to reduce waste. And anything we can do to repurpose our veggies is where we're going to try and help.
Yeah, that's so good. So a spicy red lentil soup, a lentil bolognese with hemp seeds, Moroccan lentil and quinoa soup, spicy red lentil. Oh, we already said that. I'm so all about this. I feel like I'm going to go home. There'll be some floppy carrots and a sad bit of celery in the crisper. And this is going to be dinner.
Absolutely. And look, particularly if you're using red lentil splits, you can actually make your soup from scratch in about probably 15, 20 minutes.
I think people sometimes overestimate the level of difficulty with using lentils. Like they can be such a quick, easy, nutritious and inexpensive meal.
Look, lentils are so quick to cook with, Dani. And the beauty is you only just need to wash them and pop them straight in. In some ways it puzzles me why people are always going for the canned processed lentil that's imported from Italy because it is, all you need to do is wash it and throw it in and it'll cook. And again, you also get different varieties of lentils that'll do different things as well. So if you look at, let's see, so quite common you'll see the green lentil. So when that's cooked, that's quite in between in terms of mushiness, but then you've got things like the black lentil and the Dupois lentil. So there's our black and there's our French green lentil or the Dupois that'll cook in about 10 minutes. And that Dupois lentil and the black lentils, they can go into salads, they can go into soups, they can go into curries, and they're unprocessed.
So good. I love it. Jenny, I'd love to learn a bit more about you and how you come to be here innovating with pulses. What's the backstory?
Oh, Dani, the backstory. Well, it's not terribly flash, I must admit. So basically, my brother started this business, the Wimmera Grain Company, back in the early 90s. And I actually had children. I had 3 children in my 40s, 2 years apart. So I had at one stage 3 under 4 or 3 4 years and under, and I was actually complaining about the cost of childcare to which he rubbed his hands with glee and said, oh, do I have an opportunity for you? So he taught me the pulse game effectively. He showed me how to initially sell products into the domestic market by the metric tonne, which is still my base business. But as I've got to know and learn more about the supply chain, so has my interest in adding value to it. And then also I obviously care passionately about Rapanyup and regional development and towns like Rapanyup surviving. And it makes me sad to think that a lot of the revenue, like everyone knows about the Mornington Peninsula. Everybody knows about the Yarra Valley. But the Yarra Valley and the Mornington Peninsula, Rapanyup and the Yarra-Yambiack Shire grow more food than those regions. And sorry, I've just mucked that up. But anyway, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But it does. But Yarra-Yambiack Shire, no one's heard of them. But we do. We produce so much food, and literally the guys around here often laugh, but the growers are growing, and the people here that are cleaning, we're exporting and actually feeding the world. And I just thought it was about time to actually, try and showcase what we grow.
Why do you think it helps a town that is at the centre of a growing region for the food that's grown to be brought back here for people to actually eat?
It is all about sustainability from a regional development perspective, whereby these towns are dying and we need population. And this packaging has the original Repanjip silo art on it because I wanted to, again, promote the town. Because if we can raise the profile of the town, then people are going to be aware of us. Going back probably 12 years ago, I was helping out at that stage. The Yarra Shire had a exhibit at Jeff's Shed to try and attract people to the town. They would go to the Mornington Peninsula, they'd go to Echuca. They pretty much ignored our stand because they didn't know anything about us. And this is where, when you start playing in the artisan food space, there's the opportunity to promote the town and the region. And you might say, well, why is population and regional development important? Well, if we don't have people here, there's going to be no one to run this machinery. There's going to be no one to bring your food from paddock into the towns, into plate.
Yeah, it's a super compelling story, and I just want to know, so if I eat this, I'm helping?
Look, just by being here, you're helping. By sharing our story, you're helping. And by eating this, you're actually helping yourself because, pulses have also been associated with longevity.
Yeah. So what are some other good reasons for people to come to the area?
Well, have you heard about our new silo that's just been recently painted? It looks amazing. So we would love you to come and have a look at it. And then also, look, I'm really proud of the Repanjip community. They are just amazing. So probably, as I said, it's over 10 years since I've been playing in this space. And if I go back 10 years ago, we didn't have a painted silo. It was an amazing lady by the name of Marianne Ferguson. At that stage, I was trying to get Pulse Fest going and I couldn't get it off the ground. And then this lovely lady, Marianne Ferguson, who worked at the Yarra Shire, said to me, Jen, we're going to paint the silos. I'm like, paint the silos, Marianne? What do you mean? And anyway, she was the one behind painting the first silo of the Silo Art Trail. And then we were number 4 of the Silo Trail, and now you look at it now, it's all over Australia. We've got buildings, and it's just terrific. To me, it's like our Sistine Chapel.
What has it done for the region?
I think it's put the region on the map. I really do. It's made a huge difference, and I think what was lovely a few years ago, I went and spoke at a travel presentation in Melbourne for retirees that were doing bus trips. And I said to the audience, so who's been to the silo art? Well, most of the room put their hand up. It was just terrific. And yes, it was sort of COVID where people weren't travelling too far, but it's been great, really, really good. And what's lovely, around Repanjip now, we've got lots to see. It's not only the silo. We've got a really good museum, and time again, people go, oh my God, we didn't realise it was here. And my sister-in-law, who's incredibly well-travelled and is actually overseas at the moment, still reckons it's one of the best museums she's ever seen. And it is, it's really, really good. So I don't know if you've had time to go to Woods Museum, but that would be another thing to do, maybe not this trip, but the next trip.
Well, definitely a lot of reasons to come back. And I'm really excited to have had the inside experience and learn something about how pulses are processed. Where can I buy the Wimmera Grain Store products, Jenny?
Look, I am mostly online. That is true. And then obviously I'm focusing on regional stockists. And so, yes, I've got a smattering of regional stockists. And because it's really all about, when you come to the Wimmera, go into our businesses and see what we do.
I love it. Well, I'll definitely put the website link in the show notes, so everybody check that out. Get some of these products for your purse, for your car, for your pantry. I think it's really wonderful what you're doing. Thanks for talking us through it.
Great, Dani. Thank you so much for coming all the way. Really appreciate it.
This episode is part of a special Dirty Linen series about the Grampians, Wimmera and Mallee regions in Western Victoria. We drove the roads, saw the sights, said hello to the roos and emus, met the people, ate the food, drank the wine, and generally soaked up the delights. Listen to more episodes about the Grampians Wimmera Mallee. We hope you'll plan a trip to the region and maybe listen to stories of this fun, fascinating part of the world as you travel. This series is supported by Visit Victoria.
This is a Deep in the Weeds production.